And hello, everybody. All about the gyro here, and doing a slight talking head video. And what I'm showing is the current state as of Tuesday afternoon, with 6 days left in the season. And right now, because of that excellent finish at Spa, we are currently in third in the Spec Racing Ford Challenge for our division. William and Richard clearly head and shoulders, especially William with 78 starts. But in our case, we've only done 9. 4 top fives, we finished 7th, we have a low lap count, and only 52 incidents. Thumbs up for that. Now, Fernando, Roland, Walter, Ligia, John, Rowdy, and Shins. I'm counting all of them because they all could easily overtake me. I have not seen them race yet, as far as I know of, as of this point. We'll see what happens. But as it stands, we are doing pretty darn good. 52 incidents, only on 125 laps. Give it up for Walter Tanner, though, in 6th place. Similar story to me. He's only done 117. He's at 328. He could easily overtake me. And look at that incident count, 12. That's it. All right, let's go over to Sports Car Challenge. And right now, I'm in 4th. And this is with the bad result at Interlagos. So, Reese and Andrew are 1 point apart. It's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Sasha only has 32 incidents. Now, I checked his stuff. He did race at IMSA, which is the last week of the year. He has put something like 60 odd. So he would basically need to win in a large field or improve on this score. He is only 13 points behind me. He's going to have to go big, but he had a huge point lead until he just stopped driving the series. So 104 incidents at 8 starts puts you at right around 13 on the new age math. So it shows sometimes you have good weeks and sometimes you don't. Here is, for 5 weeks, 116 incidents, 8 weeks, 302, but also look at the number of starts. Andrew's done 50, so he's averaging 6. Reese has done 14, so he's averaging 8 and change. Nicholas at 28 is probably doing 12, 13, maybe 14. So, safety rating, notice I'm at 3.24. Still above the cut line. I'm still where I need to be. And remember, we have the 6 hour coming. So, don't think I'm going to get third, but you never know. The Silverstone result really doing the job. And I'm checking on Nicholas here to see if he has raced already. And 12, lots of 12-1. So he's doing his normal program there. So I expect him to get a drive. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about SimLab Production Car Challenge. And I'm going to flip over here because I want to show um, a discussion that um, has been going on the Reddit. So let me find the schedule, and I'm going to use the word provisional. So I'm going to pull it up here. I'm going to click on the picture. And right now, this is, oh, I actually did have it saved. For once, I was prepared, boys and girls. Scary thought. So this is the provisional schedule. And I'm now going to select. I actually was in the top 25 until last night's races. I did drop down a little bit. I've done 12 starts at 89 incidents, but notice I've only finished 11th. It's my worst series. Now, the problem is the incidents have hit me at the worst time. So right now they're at Watkins Glen. I would get a drop week if I chose to race it, which I'm still not so eager to race, but I am thinking it over. And now I want to show why. So here is a thread, and this is my old Reddit name when I lived in Miami. And when you click on my profile, you see all about the gyro in there. So I want to talk about this in earnest. So here's the schedule. And different person discussing about, is it absolute carnage? So you see Book 72 said, okay, Olton Park is not nice for multi-class, but the learning opportunities for racecraft are plentiful. I don't disagree with that. T-Bricks, Ugly Swine, 5-wheel Rick, and things thereof. Mr. Guafa talking about his different experiences, and then I came in. So I want to document this. I want this to be on the record. And I'm going to read to you the response for those who have sight impairment. I have streamed this series on my YouTube and Twitch channels this season, and after this season, I'll be taking a break from it. Looking at my stats this season, the PCC has cost me the most SR and IR of any of the series I have raced full-time in by a country mile. As an adjunct here, before I continue reading, even though my incidents have been lower than IMSA, I still am better off safety rating wise than IMSA because most of those incidents happened in fewer races. Hence the validity of this assertion through statistical analysis. Carrying on. When looking at it deeper, I came to realize the following shortcomings. On paper, it's a great concept of the introduction of multi-class racing. However, the 4 classes of cars are one too many. The scheduling this season was quite poor. Having Atlanta Motor Speedway as the oval was beyond absurd. Yes, they did a good job having it come back the following week for its Roval layout to reduce costs to the user, but the Roval is not as defined as Charlotte is. The 60-minute race at the Glen was super, but the 40-minute race at Summit Point was awful. You are nearly forced to be hyper aggressive, which runs counter to proper multi-class racing. For example, if you drive to avoid the inevitable accidents at turn 1 at Lime Rock, which in my race there took 8 cars off at lap 1, it's on my YouTube channel, check it out. You are going to get rear-ended by the Leroy Jenkins crowd who believe they must pass as many cars as needed early. Then those same drivers, when they move up to IMSA, wonder why their results are terrible. Adjunct here, I'm seeing drivers this year, not only have they lost their A license, but they're in danger of losing their B license in one season because they've been that unsafe. Juan Bustamante comes to mind. He is very close to losing B at the end of the season, as last I checked, he was under 2.0, hence that comment. Continuing on. Lastly, the standing starts are absurd. The Jettas are a fine car. I know, I just dealt with them in the 23-hour charity races older, and once you realize they're great curb hoppers, you plan accordingly in the faster cars. But they need to start behind the Mazdas. It should be a rolling start, full stop. I can't see me racing in this series for a long time. I love the concept. The execution is terrible, though, and the scheduling is not done correctly either. 25-minute races are excellent, but the longer 40 and 60-minute races must be at circuits that allow themselves to race more effectively for the classes of cars. The Glen was super. Summit Point, not so much. So now, before I read the response, and there was a very thoughtful response here, and I want to give full credit. Here's why I made these assertions. One, pardon me, I'm still getting over the head cold. When I say you have one class too many, I'm going to call the blatant elephant in the room. One of the 4 cars are not like the others. The Jetta, the Solstice, and the Mazdas are very closely defined. The Mustang is a lot faster. That means you got to keep the Mustang. You definitely need to keep the Mazda because that is the car that the new driver to the service can most easily relate to because that's the car they've driven. And then you have the Jetta and the Solstice. Because of the way splits are done, I have seen races where you've only got 3 Solstices signed up. I think you need to sunset the Solstice. And as you saw later in my comments, put the Jettas behind the Mazdas. Now people are freed up. That's the first thing. You should have 3 cars for multi-class at the beginning. 4, that's a bit much. Really, the big thing I want to hammer on was the scheduling. The scheduling was the only reason why I didn't say terrible. And I'm going to show you the schedule here was because I understood what they were attempting to do. So I'm going to pull that up here, and I have the proposed schedule for next year on the next tab. Here was the schedule for Season 4 of 2020 for the SimLab Production Car Challenge, and you will see why immediately where the deficiencies are. 1. Having Daytona, the 2007 road course, made a lot of sense. It's a free track, it's an easy intro. It was a very smart decision. Following up with Okayama, very logical, very familiar circuit. There's enough straightaway for the Mazdas to get some separation from the Jettas, the Mustangs, likewise. Road Atlanta short. Road Atlanta short, good idea, but wrong part of the calendar. I would have swapped Lime Rock with Road Atlanta. This series is up and coming. There is an investment going on with the community. They're pretty nice people. It's just the racing standards have been, frankly, woeful. I would have put Lime Rock third. Now, here comes the first big knock. Tsukuba. Tsukuba is not an appropriate circuit for multi-class. It should have never made the calendar, because now what you're doing is you've taken a new driver. They have some confidence from Daytona and Okayama. Now let's say they have like a little bit of a harder time at Road Atlanta. Road Atlanta is not an easy circuit, even in the short layout. And now you throw them in the demolition derby that is often Tsukuba, where at 2 kilometers in length, the Mustangs at times can't get away, and it's just very frantic. I thought this was a very poor decision. And for those who follow this channel, you know I skipped that race because I knew it was going to be awful. Then you come back with Charlotte Road Course. So here is the Captain Obvious question. If you have Charlotte Road Course, why wouldn't you have Charlotte Oval? Why would you make people go out and buy Atlanta Motor Speedway to run 2 races when you already have free content? Keep that in mind, because I have some very hard comments coming. Watkins Glen, 60 minutes, great idea. I have been very loud in saying you need to have a 60-minute enduro. You only need one. Now, before, I was actually pushing for more than that. The crowd doesn't want that. If you got one, though, it's okay. Watkins Glen Classic was the right layout. It's long enough, you have separation, and it really teaches you, hey, this is what it's about as you get prepped for the now much upgraded and more important IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, because that's your sole C license series for multi-class. IMSA B multi-class, and ILMS A multi-class. There's a very clear linearity here now because of the license realignment. Watkins Glen Classic, very good idea. Lime Rock, you got to have Lime Rock. I just wish it was in week 3, but it's good that you have that. So now here is my second knock on the calendar. This is a multi-class series. Why are you having an oval race? This is absurd. We ran Atlanta twice, and it was absurd. Now, with the new license standards, where the Atlanta Oval will be now on your oval license and not your road license, this is very slightly mitigated, but it goes against the nature of the series. This is the first proper course of multi-class racing, and for a lot of people, it's actually a little bit easier to do than going into, let's say, the skippies. This shouldn't have been on the schedule. The road course wasn't much better because all you're doing is using 2/3 of the oval. You knew that all you had to do was pass and get a good corner exit onto the high banks, they weren't catching you. Dumb. Flat out, full stop, dumb. The last three races, Summit Point, Olton's Park, and then Watkinglens Boot. So once again, reusing a pay track. Cool. I do like the boot configuration. It is using the bus stop chicane. And it's 25 minutes. Great circuit for intro multi-class. But 40 minutes at Summers, come on, guys. The first 3 laps are going to be pandemonium as everyone is sorting themselves out. You have cold tires, and now you're going to put them through that tight second sector, and you're going to have a lot of carnage, a lot of damage, and a lot of hurt feelings. This should not have been a 40-minute race. Keep it 25 minutes. It would have been far better. You also got the wrong layout at Olton Park. Why are you using the short layout? Use the intermediate layout. Use the long layout with no chicanes. Now Mustangs get away. It works out a little bit better. Very dumb decision. So when you look at this schedule in total, this was the worst schedule that I raced on. Full stop. And it runs counter to the purpose of what I think the series should be. Now you know the context for comments. Now I'm going to read you the response. Here's the response. Great feedback, thanks. As someone who is now involved in the future scheduling for the SimLab Production Car Challenge, to use the acronym, I really like to hear these comments. The main surprise is that you thought Watkins was good for a 60-minute race and Summit poor for a 40-minute race. The bulk of feedback regarding Watkins was it was too boring to race for an hour. Keep that in mind. I would suggest that you stick around for a while, though. We are hoping to learn from the experiences of this season to help build a schedule that works better with the 4 classes. Olton Foster's will not be a part of that again because it is too tight and technical for these cars. There is no chance for separation of classes. I have had a terrible week there, have experienced all the things you're complaining about firsthand, as have a large percentage of the other regular experienced drivers. Nice response. Thumbs up. Here is my response to that. Let me add a few additional items to consideration. I'm going to flip these for those who are vision impaired. I actually wrote what I'm saying for second and vice versa. We all need to remember that this is an introductory series. The worst drivers were not the new ones. It was the intermediate drivers that think they know better. So rolling starts are a must. So I've reiterated rolling starts. Please have rolling starts. It will help. The other item. When scheduling, the concept of a 40 or 60-minute race is excellent. Many I know thought the Glen was boring, but I found it a challenge to concentrate for that period of time. Circuit selection thus is important. If memory serves, the series is limiting pay offerings to a minimum to help ease the folks into things. Adjunct key point coming here, so pay very close attention. I disagree with this approach because it plays you into situations like Atlanta Motor Speedway, which was a terrible oval and poor road option. Ovals, if desired, needs to be less than 1 mile around, and for me, unnecessary for this series. Additionally, Tsukuba is not a multi-class circuit and must be grouped in a run as least as possible subset because its lack of length and increased randomness does not help drivers. Final point here. I advocate for a 6-6, so 6 pay tracks, 6 free content, or an 8-4, 8 free content, 4 paid. where yes, you reduce the pay tracks, but in exchange, the series benefits from having a richer selection of appropriate circuits, as in circuit lengths no more than, let's say, Suzuka, with preference to 5 kilometers or 3.2 miles or shorter. Final point here. I will keep an open mind because with a multi-class realignment, as alluded to earlier in the video, it makes the value of this series increased, and that is a good thing. However, if the schedule is still poor, my reservations will increase again because the net growth potential becomes flat. The respondent, very fair response, I might add. I have to say, the series is trying to improve and it needs to be documented. Again, I mostly agree with what you mentioned here. You are spot on about the importance of this series increasing. As mentioned in my other reply, season 1 is locked in. But from season 2 of 2021 onwards, we will hopefully have a more rounded schedule. Another major change is an attempt to get increased input from the series regulars by moving the polling out of the forums and into an external system. Keep an eye on your iRacing message box over the next couple of weeks to make sure you get the link. So here's what this tells me. They know it's an issue. They're trying to address it. Now, I'll paraphrase the final part of the content for brevity. Another person said they loved the 60 at the Glen. They did like the 40 at the Summit. He wants the Glen for the endurance to run the boot or classic, and the sprint race should run the cup layout. I don't disagree with that. I think that's very reasonable. He hammered on Atlanta Oval. And he's advocating bring back Laguna Seca, which I don't disagree with for multi-class. So, the caretaker, he comments that Oval Week is very divisive. He comments that in season 1 there will be a paid oval and roval combination, which I'm going to reveal here in feedback. So other people talked about DQing at Alton Park because it's Foster's. And then other people say, look, production car challenge on the weekends is carnage. It's not as bad as Fanatec Global Challenge. And last person said, I did an entire season, finished top 25. It's awful. And they're saying, get out of it ASAP. So now I'm going to reveal to you the schedule. There's some changes. So your grid size is now at 36. You grid by your class. Now, there is nothing in here that says Jettas go behind Mazdas. We'll see how it plays out. So, here's the schedule. The very first thing is Tsukuba, the motor layout. It's a rolling start, 25 minutes. You have already, for me, if I was serious about running this, which I like this series, it has great merit. It gives me a reason to drive the Mazda. It's a good car. I'm now sitting out week 1 because I'm scared to death of the carnage that's going to come. And it's the moto layout. So you're now adding an extra complication. Now you followed up with the first long race, 40 minutes. I believe this is the 2 pit stop variant, and that is Legacy Phoenix Road. I can tell you right now, this is not a bad choice. We race Spec Racing Ford on this. It's a good little circuit. It's free content, so people are going to come in. And with 2 pit stops, this is a value add because there's a strategy call that's involved here. So I like this. So far, garbage and really good. Road Atlanta, now you went full course and it's at noon and it's a rolling start. Yes, you've got the right configuration. Summit Point, 25 minutes, rolling start. Nice. Now, I just looked at Phoenix. It's a standing start. You know my view. It should all be rolling starts. That prepares you for multi-class. That's a minor nuisance. We can hang with that. Okay. It's not the end of the world because the Mustangs are going to be up front and they're going to drive away anyway. It's you have turn 2 you got to deal with. It's not terrible. Summit Point, 25 minutes in a rolling start. Good. Alton Park, full layout, subtracting a chicane, and 40 minutes. Once again, you've got this correct. Alton Park is a great free content. It's fantastic. Now, week 6, the oval. We know it's coming. You know my feelings about ovals. It's garbage. So right now you got 2 garbage weeks. Then you come back and you bring back Daytona International Road Course Legacy. 25 minutes, rolling start. Okay. Okayama is your 60-minute race. And looking at the fuel loads, I want to say this is the other 2-stopper. It's a standing start. Terrible. It's terrible. Because Okayama is more demanding to drive 60 minutes on than Watkins Glen was. Terrible choice of circuit. Put this at Spa to where you have plenty of time to relax down the Kimmel Straight. 60-minute races in this multi-class should be on longer circuits. Full stop. Great idea. You know I don't like standing start. It's manageable. It's the wrong circuit choice. So now that's a 3rd drop week. Now, if I don't want to do oval racing, that means I lose out on week 10. Now, I have seen Road Course B. It's actually not bad. It's not bad. It's kind of similar to Phoenix. Good choice in that. So I would ditch Tsukuba. I ditched the oval, which means I'm losing out on Road Course B. I have some concerns about Okayama. I'm now at my 4 drops for the championship. That means I am forced to do Brands Hatch, which is challenging and a great circuit to bring into the series. Well done. You got to have Spa. Everybody loves Spa. It's good that it's 40 minutes. I think that's the right length for this. There is a pit stop. The right decisions are made here. If you're going to do Spa, you can't do 25 minutes because the lap times are so long. 40, but the standing start is garbage. And in Laguna Seca, 25 minutes in a rolling start. When you compare it to season 4, I am going to agree with the respondent of keep an open mind, stick around. I still have reservations, but This is a better schedule than it was for season 4. It's an improvement. And if you're willing to, because it's only 20 minutes at an oval, notice that 20 minutes, you can have 4 shots at it and get your high score. Averages will work in your advantage. You just plan appropriately. It's better. Does it need improving? Yes. But when you compare it to this, where Okayama goes from 40 to 60, so it's not terrible. You get the right Road Atlanta, and Road Atlanta it maintains week 3, so there's familiarity. Summit Point moves way up. You get Tsukuba out of the way, that's the buy-in. There is no Charlotte Roval. They're going to do Homestead instead. Okay, if I buy Homestead, I get 2 circuits out of it. Brands Hatch is fantastic. In Spa, I think you could say, because you also get the correct Bolton Park, this schedule is an upgrade. So, am I going to race it? Looking at this, maybe. It's not a hard no now. We know the driving standards there's some concerns about the driving standards. Week 1, I would be very concerned about with an A license going around Tsukuba. I would have to pretty much go, you know what? I can't do this. This is going to hurt my safety rating. And remember, for those who are in A and B, for them to keep racing ILMS, IMSA, etc., they have to keep that license. It's important. So you may see less of them racing that if they're close to being dropped. So yeah, it's an improvement. Let's see what happens. With that, my friends, it's been a long video, but we covered a lot of ground. Take care, everybody. We'll see you a little bit later.